The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin S. Sharma. Picture this. He collapsed right in the middle of a packed courtroom. But this wasn't just any man. This was Julian Mantle, a legal titan, famous for his $3,000 Italian suits and his seemingly unbreakable winning streak. From the outside, his life looked like something out of a movie. A mansion nestled among celebrities, a private jet at his beck and call, a summer home on a sun-soaked tropical island, and his crown jewel, a gleaming cherry-red Ferrari sitting in his driveway like a monument to success. He was success incarnified, walking proof that you really could have it all. And yet, there he was, sprawled on the courtroom floor, helpless and vulnerable. His body betraying him as a massive heart attack brought his glittering empire crashing down around him. Here's the kicker. At 53, he looked closer to 80. His marriage? Long dead. His family? Strangers. And despite all that wealth, his life felt completely hollow. This heart attack wasn't just his body giving out. It was his soul screaming for help. So he did something that left everyone speechless. He disappeared. He sold the mansion. He sold the jet. And yes, he even sold the Ferrari. Then he boarded a plane to India, searching for answers to questions he didn't even know how to ask yet. 3 years later, a man walked into his old law firm. Tall, lean, radiating this almost supernatural vitality. Nobody recognized him at first. It couldn't possibly be him. But it was. Julian Mantle had returned, transformed beyond recognition. Gone was the ghostly complexion, the persistent cough, that haunted look in his eyes. In their place stood someone who seemed to glow with peace and purpose. What on earth had he discovered high in those Himalayan mountains? What ancient wisdom could turn a broken man into someone so completely alive? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Robin Sharma's modern classic, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, isn't just a book. It's a fable that doubles as a roadmap for living the life you've always dreamed of. By the time we're done, you'll have the keys to that same transformation. You'll discover 7 timeless virtues that can fill your life with more joy, purpose, and peace than you ever imagined possible. So let's dive in. Our story truly begins after Julian's remarkable return. His old colleague John sits across from him, completely stunned. The man before him looks decades younger, surrounded by this calm, magnetic energy. How did this happen? It wasn't some magic pill or secret surgery. It was a journey that started from within. Julian begins unfolding his tale. He explains that his heart attack was merely a symptom of something much deeper. His life, for all its sparkle and shine, was spiritually bankrupt. His doctor laid it out plain and simple. Give up the law, or give up your life. But Julian didn't see this as a punishment. He saw it as the opportunity of a lifetime. He sold everything that anchored him to his old, empty existence and caught a flight to India. For months, he wandered from village to village, soaking up wisdom from a culture that had been perfecting it for millennia. He met teachers who welcomed him warmly, but he still felt like something was missing. He kept hearing whispers about this mystical group of monks, the great sages of Savannah, who lived high in the Himalayas. Legend had it, they'd discovered a complete system for unlocking the full potential of mind, body, and soul. Finding them, though, that was supposed to be impossible. Many had tried, many had failed. But Julian, with that same relentless drive that made him a courtroom legend, set off alone into those treacherous mountains. For 7 grueling days he climbed, his body weak, but his spirit burning bright. Just when he was about to give up hope, he spotted a figure draped in a flowing red robe. This was Yogi Raman, the eldest sage of Savannah. Seeing the genuine hunger in Julian's heart, the sage made him a deal. He'd share their entire system of wisdom, but only if Julian promised to return to the West and share these truths with everyone who needed them. Julian agreed without hesitation. And so he was led to the hidden village of Savannah, this tiny paradise built entirely among roses, tucked away in a lush green valley. This is where his real education began. The sages explained that all their wisdom, 7 timeless virtues for a life overflowing with joy and fulfillment, was contained within a single mystical fable. It's a pretty weird little story, so bear with me here. Imagine you're sitting in the middle of this magnificent, lush green garden, surrounded by the most spectacular flowers you've ever laid eyes on. Standing in the center is this towering, 6-story red lighthouse. Suddenly, the lighthouse door creaks open, and out stumbles a 9-foot-tall, 900-pound Japanese sumo wrestler. He's completely naked except for a pink wire cable covering his private parts. As he wanders through the garden, he discovers a shiny gold stopwatch, half buried in the dirt. He picks it up and slips it on, but immediately loses his balance and crashes to the ground with a thunderous thud, knocked out cold. Just when you think that's the end of him, the fragrance from some nearby yellow roses revives him. He jumps to his feet and spots a long, winding path, covered in sparkling diamonds to his left. He takes this path, and it leads him to a life of everlasting joy and bliss. Now, Julian admits that when he first heard this, he was pretty disappointed. He'd been expecting some earth-shattering lecture. Instead, he got what sounded like a children's story about a sumo wrestler. But Yogi Raman just smiled and said, "Never overlook the power of simplicity." Every single element in that fable represents one of the 7 virtues. If you can remember the story, you'll hold the keys to an extraordinary life. Let's unpack them, one by one. The first virtue lives in the magnificent garden. The garden represents your mind. If you cultivate your mind, nurture it, fertilize it, pull out the weeds, it'll blossom beyond your wildest expectations. But let it run wild, allow toxic thoughts to take root, and you'll never find true peace. Think about it. You'd never let someone dump toxic waste in your backyard, right? Yet how often do we let toxic thoughts poison the garden of our minds? Worries about the past, anxieties about the future, self-doubt, fear, these are the weeds. The sages taught this profound truth. You cannot afford the luxury of a single negative thought. Worry is the biggest culprit. It drains your mind of its power and eventually injures your soul. The sages discovered that the average person has about 60,000 thoughts a day. What's shocking? For most people, 95% of those thoughts are the exact same ones they had yesterday and the day before that. Julian calls it the tyranny of impoverished thinking. People become prisoners of their past, replaying the same negative loops endlessly. But here's the beautiful secret. Your thinking is just a habit. And like any habit, it can be changed. The first step is becoming the guardian at the gate of your mind. You get to choose what comes in. To do this, Julian learned a simple but powerful technique called the heart of the rose. It's a form of meditation. You take a fresh rose and find a quiet spot. Then you fix your gaze on its center, its heart. You notice its color, its texture, its fragrance. At first, your mind will wander like a puppy off its leash. That's completely normal. An untrained mind can't stay still. But each time it wanders, you gently guide it back to the rose. With daily practice, You can hold your focus for 5, 10, even 20 minutes. This simple act trains your mind to be your servant instead of your master. It builds concentration and stillness, creating a deep sense of inner peace. Another technique is called opposition thinking. Your mind can only hold one thought at a time. So the moment an unwanted negative thought enters, you consciously replace it with a positive one. Fear shows up? Replace it with courage. Sadness appears? Focus on a memory that brings you joy. It's like changing slides in a projector. With enough practice, those negative thoughts lose their power and eventually stop showing up altogether. Finally, the sages practiced the secret of the lake. They believed everything is created twice, first in the mind, then in reality. They'd go to a perfectly still mountain lake and, looking at their reflection, visualize their dreams as if they were already real. They'd see themselves being more disciplined, more courageous, more joyful. Your mind works in pictures. When you consistently feed it inspiring images of who you want to become, your subconscious gets to work making that vision reality. Mastering your mind is the first and most crucial step, because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world. But even a well-tended garden isn't enough if you don't know where you're headed. This brings us to the second virtue, symbolized by the towering lighthouse. The lighthouse represents purpose. Its bright, unwavering light cuts through the darkest storm, guiding ships safely to shore. In the same way, a clear purpose guides your life. The sages taught that the purpose of life is a life of purpose. Lasting happiness doesn't come from relaxing or having nothing to do. It comes from achievement. Not just material success, but the steady, progressive realization of your goals. Goals aligned with your life's mission, what the sages called your dharma. Your dharma is your unique calling. It's that thing you were born to do, the work that taps into your greatest talents and serves the greater good. When you discover your dharma, your life catches fire. You wake up energized because you know exactly where you're going. To illustrate this, Yogi Raman, a master archer, once blindfolded Julian. He then shot an arrow at a rose pinned to a tree 100 feet away. He missed badly. The lesson was simple. You'll never hit a target you can't see. Most people drift through life without ever defining their targets. The sages, on the other hand, were masters of goal setting. They had clear objectives for their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual lives. So how do you bring this into your own life? Julian shared a 5-step method for attaining any goal. First, form a clear mental image of your outcome. See it, feel it, experience it in the workshop of your mind. Second, create positive pressure. This isn't negative stress, it's about committing publicly. Tell people your goals. This creates accountability and makes you less likely to back down when things get tough. Third, attach a timeline. A goal without a deadline is just a dream. Write it down. A goal that isn't on paper isn't really a goal at all. Julian suggests creating a dream book, a journal filled with your goals, desires, and inspiring pictures of what you want to achieve. Fourth, follow the magic rule of 21. It takes about 21 days of consistent action to form a new habit. Whether it's waking up early or practicing meditation, do it every single day for 3 weeks, and it becomes automatic. And the fifth step, enjoy the process. Happiness is a journey, not a destination. Don't put your life on hold while you chase your goals. Savor the small victories, learn from the setbacks, and find joy in the climb. So now you've got a pristine garden and a lighthouse guiding your way. What comes next? Our story takes us to the curious figure of the sumo wrestler. The 9-foot-tall, 900-pound sumo wrestler symbolizes the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement. It's the art of self-mastery. The sages believed that success on the outside begins with success on the inside. To improve your health, your relationships, or your finances, you must first improve yourself. Self-mastery is the DNA of life mastery. This isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being superior to your former self. The only limits in your life are the ones you set for yourself. To practice Kaizen, you must constantly push yourself out of your comfort zone and into what they called the zone of the unknown. Do the things you fear. If you fear public speaking, give 20 speeches. If you fear failure, try something where you know you might fail. Fear, Julian learned, is just a mental monster you've created. When you conquer your fears, you conquer your life. To live a life of Kaizen, Julian was given 10 ancient rituals, the 10 rituals of radiant living. They're designed to cultivate your mind, body, and soul. 1. The ritual of solitude. Spend at least 15 minutes every day in pure silence. Find a quiet place, a sanctuary of the self, where you can just be. Silence connects you to your creative source and renews your spirit. 2. The ritual of physicality. As you care for your body, so you care for your mind. Invest at least 5 hours a week in vigorous exercise, yoga, walking in nature, anything that gets your blood moving. The sages believed breathing was key. Most of us breathe shallowly. Learn to breathe deeply from your abdomen, and you'll unlock incredible reserves of energy. 3. The ritual of live nourishment. Fuel your body with live foods, a diet rich in fresh vegetables, fruits, and grains. The sages believed a vegetarian diet is what nature intended. It gives you strength and vitality without draining your energy on heavy digestion. 4. The ritual of abundant knowledge. Become a lifelong learner. Read for at least 30 minutes every day. Don't just read anything. Read books that nourish your mind and spirit. Study the lives of great people. Every answer to every problem you'll ever face is in a book somewhere. 5. The ritual of personal reflection. At the end of each day, take a few minutes to reflect. What did you do right? What could you have done better? This simple habit creates self-awareness, which is the first step to personal growth. 6. The ritual of early awakening. Rise with the sun. The quality of sleep matters more than quantity. 6 hours of deep, uninterrupted sleep beats 10 hours of tossing and turning. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Begin with positive thoughts, gratitude, and maybe even a good laugh. 7. The ritual of music. Never underestimate the power of music. It can lift your spirits, change your mood, and inspire you instantly. Have music playing in your home, in your car. Let it be the soundtrack to your life. 8. The ritual of the spoken word. Use mantras to free your mind. A mantra is just a simple phrase repeated over and over to create a positive effect. Julian was taught to repeat, "I am more than I appear to be. All the world's strength and power rests inside me." The words you say to yourself shape your self-image, and your self-image determines your actions. 9. The ritual of a congruent character. Your character is built through daily incremental action. Live by a set of higher principles: industry, compassion, humility, patience, honesty, and courage. When your actions align with your principles, you feel a deep sense of inner peace. 10. The ritual of simplicity. Reduce your needs. Live simply. Focus only on your priorities. Stop living in the thick of thin things. This doesn't mean giving up your ambitions. It means clearing out the clutter, both physical and mental, so you can focus on what truly matters. These 10 rituals form the foundation of self-mastery. But even a master needs one more crucial virtue, which brings us to the pink wire cable. The wire cable wrapped around the sumo wrestler symbolizes discipline and willpower. A single wire is weak and flimsy. But when thousands of tiny wires are woven together, they form a cable stronger than iron. Willpower works the same way. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build, one small act at a time. When you choose to get up early instead of hitting snooze, you add a wire. When you choose to hold your tongue instead of reacting in anger, you add a wire. When you push yourself to do something you don't feel like doing, you add another wire. The sages believed that a lack of willpower is a mental disease, but the cure is simple: use it. Willpower is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. One of the most powerful exercises is the vow of silence. Try going an entire day without speaking, unless directly asked a question. Each time you feel the urge to speak, you consciously curb that impulse. This simple act dramatically strengthens your will. Building willpower gives you true freedom. Most people have liberty. They can go where they want, but they lack freedom because they're slaves to their impulses. They're reactive, tossed about by every distraction and crisis. A person with a will of iron is in control. They're proactive. They have the freedom to choose what's right over what's merely urgent. They're the master of their world because they've first mastered themselves. Our sumo wrestler has cultivated his mind, found his purpose, committed to self-mastery, and built an iron will. But in the fable he slips on something and falls. It's the shiny gold stopwatch. This stopwatch symbolizes our most precious and non-renewable commodity, time. Time, Julian learned, is the great equalizer. Rich or poor, we all get the same 24 hours in a day. The difference between an ordinary life and an extraordinary one lies in how we use those hours. Time mastery is life mastery. The sages weren't obsessed with productivity in a stressful way. They were simply ruthless with their time because they valued it. They lived by what Julian calls the ancient rule of 20, the 80-20th principle. 80% of your results come from just 20% of your activities. Think about your own life. How much of your day gets spent on low-value tasks, mindless scrolling, gossip, worrying about things you can't control? Now think about the high-impact activities, the deep work, the meaningful connections with loved ones, the time spent on your health and personal growth. The secret to time mastery is focusing all your energy on that 20% and having the courage to say no to everything else. Don't be a time thief to yourself, and don't let others steal your time either. Learn to politely but firmly guard your time. It's your most valuable asset. Perhaps the most powerful time management strategy Julian learned was the deathbed mentality. Every morning, ask yourself, what would I do today if this was my last day on earth? How would you treat your family, your friends, strangers? What would suddenly become important? What would you stop worrying about? This single question has the power to bring laser focus to your days and fill them with passion and urgency. The best time to plant a tree was 40 years ago. The second best time is today. Don't wait. In the fable, after the sumo wrestler falls, he's awakened by the beautiful fragrance of the yellow roses. The roses symbolize the sixth virtue, and it's one of the most profound. Selflessly serve others. There's an ancient Chinese proverb that says, "A little bit of fragrance always clings to the hand that gives you roses." When you work to improve the lives of others, you can't help but improve your own. The quality of your life ultimately comes down to the quality of your contribution. This doesn't mean you have to quit your job and dedicate your life to charity, though some find great fulfillment in that. It's about a paradigm shift. It's about stopping seeing yourself purely as an individual and starting to see yourself as part of a collective. It's about practicing daily acts of kindness, a sincere compliment, an unexpected helping hand, a moment of deep listening. These small acts ripple outward in ways you can't even imagine. Yogi Raman said that when we're born, we're crying, while the world rejoices. We should live our lives in such a way that when we die, the world cries while we're rejoicing. This is the ultimate purpose of life: to live, to give. And this brings us to the final element of the fable. After awakening, the sumo wrestler sees the winding path of diamonds. He walks it and finds everlasting joy. The path of diamonds symbolizes the seventh and final virtue: embrace the present. The sages knew that the past is gone and the future is just an illusion. The only moment that's real is now. Happiness isn't a destination you arrive at someday. It is the path itself. It's a journey. So many of us put off our happiness. We think, I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or I'll relax when I retire, or I'll spend time with my family when this project is over. But that day never comes. Julian learned this the hard way. The tragedy that truly broke him before his heart attack wasn't his career stress. It was something far deeper. In a moment of vulnerability, he confessed to John that he once had a wife and a young daughter, but one day a drunk driver took his daughter's life. His world shattered. He buried his grief in his work, becoming the obsessed, empty man he was before he left. That's why his most passionate plea was this: live your children's childhood. Don't be so busy climbing the ladder of success that you miss the most precious moments of their lives. Because one day they'll be grown, and that time will be gone forever. Don't sacrifice the present for the future. The diamonds aren't at the end of the road. The diamonds are the road. They're the small, simple wonders of everyday life. The taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your face, the sound of a loved one's laughter, the beauty of a sunset. To see these diamonds, you must practice gratitude. Spend time every day thinking about all that you have to be thankful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's abundant, and it anchors you firmly in the beauty of the present moment. This is the timeless secret of lifelong happiness. It's not in achieving more, but in experiencing more. It's in slowing down and savoring the journey. As Julian finished his story, the sun was rising. He stood up, embraced his friend like a brother, and walked out the door, leaving behind only one thing: an empty cup on the coffee table. A symbol that the student was now ready to fill his own cup with life. What an incredible journey! From a courtroom collapse to a mountaintop monastery, Julian Mantle's story is a powerful reminder that it's never too late to reinvent your life. The beauty of Robin Sharma's book is how it wraps profound, life-altering wisdom in a simple, memorable fable. It takes ancient truths that have been passed down for centuries and makes them accessible and practical for our modern, chaotic lives. The core message, for me, is one of personal responsibility. It's the idea that you're the artist of your life. Your thoughts are the paint, your will is the brush, and your time is the canvas. You have the power, right now, to start creating a masterpiece. It doesn't matter what your past looks like. It doesn't matter what your current circumstances are. The moment you decide to take control of your inner world, your outer world begins to change. So much of our culture tells us to look outside for happiness, in possessions, in status, in achievements. this book gently turns our gaze inward. It reminds us that true success is about becoming more, not having more. It's about building an unshakable character, cultivating a peaceful mind, and living with a joyful spirit. The 10 Rituals of Radiant Living, the 5-step method for goal attainment, the techniques for mastering your mind. These aren't just abstract ideas. They're concrete tools. And the most powerful thing about them, they rely on small, consistent actions. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight. You just have to add one wire to the cable each day. You just have to tend to your garden for a few minutes. You just have to take one step down the path of diamonds. So how can you start today? Let me offer you 3 simple actions inspired by Julian's journey. First, practice the ritual of solitude. Just for today, find 10 minutes where you can be completely alone and in silence. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just sit and be with yourself. Notice the thoughts that come up. Don't judge them. Just let them pass. This is the first step to becoming the master of your mind. Second, pick one small thing you've been putting off and schedule it. Maybe it's a 5-minute walk, reading one chapter of a book, or making that phone call you've been avoiding. Take that first small step to strengthen your willpower and build momentum. And third, perform one unexpected act of kindness. Hold the door for someone, give a sincere compliment, or send a quick message to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Experience for yourself the truth that the fragrance of the rose always clings to the hand that gives it. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari is more than a story. It's an invitation. An invitation to live more deliberately, to love more deeply, and to become the person you were always meant to be. That was our journey through The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. We've covered the 7 virtues and the timeless wisdom of the sages today. But I'll be honest with you, a summary, no matter how detailed, can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found on the journey itself. The true magic happens in those quiet moments when you're reading, and a single sentence or simple story resonates with your soul in a way you didn't expect. This podcast is here to help you decide if this book is worth your time and attention. If anything we've talked about has sparked something inside you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning. It's an experience that can genuinely change how you see your life, day by day. You can find a link to the book in the description below. Also, if you found this summary valuable and want to continue exploring the world's most transformative books, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It lets me know we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive into another life-changing book from the Billionaire's Bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.